It's no secret that the genre of MMO games is a dying breed. But why? Let me ask you this. Are you over the age of 25 or even 35 watching a video about an MMO? I know the answer is yes because you constantly compare new MMOs to the ones you played nearly 20 years ago, like EVE Online, World of Warcraft, Lineage, Guild Wars, Dark Age of Camelot, the list could go on and on. But no one is saying their first ever MMO experience was New World, and they really hope Ashes of Creation is just like it. We are all looking for the nostalgia of our first MMO experience, and that is exactly what Ashes of Creation is delivering. A classic old school MMO feeling mixed with innovative concepts that are trying to push the genre forward, which is what modern MMOs are missing. They're ignoring some core concepts that made old school MMOs so fun. So sit back, relax, and gain some of that well-earned rested experience while we process our legendary copium and explore what Ashes of Creation is doing right. My favorite thing about Ashes of Creation right now is how the leveling process feels. Current MMOs like New World or Throne and Liberty allow players to hit max level in less than a week following an easy main story quest. That doesn't feel earned. That doesn't feel rewarding. You miss feeling your character getting stronger because this leveling process is so rushed. Ashes of Creation has a slow leveling process with tough combat and punishing deaths that make you earn every single level. And I believe that is what a lot of us want. We want to feel like we are progressing our character and feel them getting stronger at every step throughout the game. Not just reach an end game in our first 2 weeks of playing and have to mindlessly repeat the same 2 dungeons over and over, waiting for RNG loot to make ourselves stronger. Ashes is just in its Alpha 2 phase where character progression honestly doesn't even matter, and it still feels more rewarding than some of those other MMOs. Getting a new uncommon wand for my mage at just level 10 actually felt like a big boost. Every new ability you unlock feels like an impactful change on how you play combat encounters. Which leads me into my next favorite thing about Ashes so far, and that's the combat. It is tough. If you are fighting monsters at your own level, there's a very real threat of dying if you get sloppy. And death leads to experience debt, loss of materials, and some slight stat dampening. I can't tell you how many times that I felt I had a comfortable amount of health to only end up dying because the next monster I fought dodged just a single skill of mine, or because my group pulled one too many enemies and it led to an entire party wipe. And combat isn't just tough to be tough. This game will be balanced towards party compositions and not individual archetypes. This is already apparent with the amount of synergies across archetypes that can make combat easier. Mages can coordinate and utilize other mages' freezes to proc Shatter for massive amounts of damage. Many tank abilities easily apply Stagger, which can allow fighters to trip groups of enemies or bards to disarm a target. Rangers can easily proc bleeds on enemies, allowing for fighters to have additional effects on their abilities or to enhance the bleed into a hemorrhage. There are so many cross-archetype synergies that allows for the potential of a massive skill curve in the most coordinated groups, and this will only get more in depth as new archetypes and abilities get introduced into the game. Combat is really involving, and it makes the long grinding of leveling your character not feel tedious or boring. I think combat as a whole feels great and is already in a really good spot. Another thing that Ashes of Creation is doing that is giving me a rush of nostalgia is how they are forcing social interactions. My first MMO was Lineage 2, and a lot of my memories are around casually interacting with other players. Towns were full of people constantly moving or chatting, scammers were trying to steal my gear. The open world PvP corruption system, much like how Ashes is operating, I felt actually enhanced gameplay and caused fun player friction. In modern MMOs, towns are full, but most players are AFK or chatting with friends in out-of-game channels like Discord. So these full towns kind of feel empty. There's easy fast travel, solo grinding areas, and auction houses, so you don't need to type WTS or WTB in chat. MMOs with these features make the massively multiplayer online game feel like a solo adventure. We are missing those casual social encounters, and Ashes is fostering this social environment so far in just the alpha with no fast travel, their caravan system, and complex artisan system. When you are out traveling in the world of Vera, you are constantly seeing other players roaming around as well, gathering materials or dying to random wolves, making the world feel alive. No matter where I am in the world, I rarely go without seeing another player for more than a few minutes. One of my favorite moments so far in the alpha was when I saw a caravan raft floating down the river, and I just hopped on and talked to a couple players for 5 to 10 minutes and then went on my way. It was such a wholesome experience that I think will be a common occurrence moving forward. The last thing I want to add that really fosters player interaction is the artisan system. There are 22 different professions between gathering, processing, and crafting, One player can only advance 5 professions beyond the novice stage, and progressing each of these professions takes a certain degree of time and dedication, but makes crafting certain items literally impossible without the help of other players. Crafting just a journeyman mining pickaxe requires 5 professions at the apprentice level, so for anything above this, you'll need at least one other player helping you get materials, which may be through a guildmate or asking around town if you can purchase materials that may be possible for you to obtain otherwise, both of which fosters this player-to-player interaction as part of a core game system. Now, before you start telling me that there will be some forms of fast travel, auction houses, and player stalls, depending on what node type you're a citizen of, I know this, but those systems will be somewhat limited, causing these social interactions we talked about to still be a very common occurrence with how Intrepid Studios is designing their game. Speaking of how Intrepid Studios is handling the development of their game, they have pushed out patches every single day since the start of Alpha 2. Even while servers are down from weekends, they are still testing on the PTR servers to push out these daily patches. Even before the Alpha 2 was released, we got to see monthly live streams of content they are working on for the game through their open development process, where they asked for community feedback and actually made changes based off this feedback. And Steven Sharif, the creative director of Intrepid Studios, appeared on many live interviews with content creators. All of this shows how committed Intrepid Studios is to creating the best possible MMO that they can, and how committed they are to the community that they have developed over the years. This sense of progression that is constantly rewarding, how Ashes is allowing plenty of avenues for social interaction that is core to the game itself, how transparent they are with ongoing development, and how the combat makes you feel like you're not the hero of a story, but rather in a living, breathing, and dangerous world, are some of the main reasons I think Ashes is going to give us the MMO experience we have been searching for since that one MMO we played 20 years ago that we are constantly comparing Ashes to.